Hey there and welcome to my channel. My name is Corey Spalding and I want to do more of a intro video. I'm not sure, I'm new to this and I just told myself that every day I'm going to show up. I'm going to record something for 90 days and see what happens. Unless of course I'm traveling or tomorrow my wonderful husband and I we're doing like an all-day date. So I might get up really early to shoot a video, and I'm getting used to the longer content, right? So I'm used to Facebook. I'm used to TikTok. I'm used to short, quick, funny, hook, all the things. So bear with me, please. and just come with me and join me and walk with me and talk with me and know that I'm here to I love when I hear stories about people who just say yes to showing up for others, for humanity, for their calling, for their purpose. You'll hear me talk about soul path. So recently I've really stepped onto my soul path, and I'm sure that's used out there in the world, but it really came to me on a walk, 2019. So gosh, 5 years ago. I got out of treatment in January of 2019. I went to a beautiful treatment establishment in Minnesota, where I'm from, and that was after years of drinking. If you've seen my other videos or you followed me from other social media, you'll know that I started drinking on the night that my father passed away, way back in June of 1997, when I was just 14 years old. And from the moment I drank the alcohol, and I felt, and this might trigger some of you, so here's a trigger warning. It's about drinking. I have to get used to doing that too. I told this story or something like it in treatment, or I used this description, and everyone in the room, like you can see, like they were like salivating. And then this friend I had made, he was like, is anybody else in the room like right there in this moment? So I just want to, it could trigger you. But from the moment that I drank, that like the burning sensation, but the warmth that comes over your whole body when you take, for me at least, a shot of alcohol. Because I drank beer, don't get me wrong, but like I was more of a booze drinker. And just that, and my cousin and I, both 14, in her bedroom, don't even ask, like, where was the parents? Because the mom had just buried her brother, and we were just naughty teenagers, and the parents were clueless because we were good at hiding things, okay? So from 14 on, and even at 15 years old, going to a 15 plus nightclub, actually. Like now that I think of it, I'm like 15 plus, it was 15 to 18 or something like that. But anyway, just weird, but so always opportunities to drink. But yeah, in 2019, it had just got out of hand. And really at that time, there's so many things going wrong. Like, it still makes me emotional. I've done a bunch of work on it, but I've also done so much work that I know that it's okay to visit the past. You'll hear me talk about this a lot, that you can visit the past, but don't hang out there. Don't relive it. Don't be in the victim energy. Well, do what you want, but like for my healing, and if you're trying to heal, those are things, right? It's okay to acknowledge your past. It's okay to talk about it. I mean, people are famous all over social media and TikTok because of it. There's plenty of people I'm like, dang, you're really talking about doing, like when they were talking like deep into like their meth use or heroin use or alcoholism, because there's a lot of people who don't understand addiction. They never will. I've even met people with severe food addictions shaming other people with drug or alcohol addictions. And everyone has their own path and everyone has their own journey. And like my mom says, everyone has something that's broken about them. And so I try not to judge anyone, really, and I invite you to try to do the same and just to worry about yourself. But that's other lives, other videos. You'll hear me talk about staying on your own path, loving yourself, all the things. But in January of 2019, I'm going to light some sage while we talk here. I was going to sage at the beginning, but I forgot to. But in January 2019, I went to treatment in this beautiful place in southern Minnesota. And if I hadn't gone, he's my husband today, but he was going to be my ex-husband at that time. So we're going through some things. And I was just drinking a lot. And I just got to the point where I didn't care anymore. So I'm lighting my sage over here. I love sage, don't you? This is organic sage bundle. I also have my Palo Santo and my little Om bowl over here. But when I talk about this stuff, I just like to have the smoke going and the energy clearing as I bring it up. It helps me to clear away anything that my words, because you have to know that your words are powerful, very powerful. Memories can be very powerful as well. So I just let the sage kind of burn over here as I share this story. So January 2019, I got out of treatment. I've said that multiple times. I get sidetracked easily. But when I got out, I remember the day took forever. I remember my husband, we talked a few times. He came to visit me a couple times, but like he wasn't going to be my husband much longer. And I had gotten fired on the way to treatment. So I was waiting for the ride, high anxiety. I was there for 3 weeks, not even 4 weeks, because of some insurance stuff. They had to let me go. And I didn't know what I was going home to. And so I had a beautiful apartment, but I was like, how am I going to keep this apartment if I don't have a job? Well, the smoke's really coming at me right now, which is good. It's supposed to. It does what it wants. And I waited what seemed like forever for this ride home. And I couldn't get a ride, so they got someone to drive me. And I think it was a 3-hour drive home. And you don't have your cell phone in treatment. So I hadn't been online, right? And I was just jonesing to get on Facebook and to connect. I didn't have anyone's numbers. I talked to my mom. I talked to my husband. I feel like I talked to someone else, but I honestly don't remember. I made friends when I was in there, so that was cool. You know what I mean? And some people were still in touch 5 years later. Most people fell off, or fell off the wagon. Is that how you say it? So I'm still on the wagon. But yeah, as I'm remembering it right now, I just wanted to record it here for me and for you. And I want to dive right into this stuff because there's some people that they build this know, like, and trust, and they're showing up, and all of a sudden years later they're like, yeah, did you know I was an alcoholic, or I was a drug addict, or did you know I did this or that, or I used to be a narcissist, or I used to be, you know what I mean? It's kind of like they hit you out of nowhere with these things. And it was always weird to me. It's like, why didn't you just say that in the first place? So I'll always be upfront with you. I'll always be honest with you. And so I want to share this piece. It's a really good story. And I wasn't sure where I was going to go with all of this, but I love sharing this. So I will just do that. So I'm in the van, I got my phone, and I'm on my way to my apartment, and my husband had been taking care of my cat that was there. I had bought a turtle. I bought a fucking turtle. I was drunk, and there was a pet store right down the walkway from me, and I went, and this one was like, this turtle's been here forever, and I was like, I'll buy the turtle, and this massive tank, and I did it all by myself, and this whole setup, and it was like this, I don't remember, bottlenose, I can't remember, but I thought it was saving its life, but I could barely take care of myself at the time, and I just didn't care really whether I was around or not. So anyway, my husband had to take care of this fucking turtle, and I got there, and the thing, it just made the tank super dirty. It was really disgusting. I don't know how people, if you have a pet turtle, kudos to you, okay? But I get home, and it's like this gorgeous apartment, brand new building, granite countertops, stainless steel. I decorated it. It was beautiful. And that day, it was a Friday. Emotions, right? It was a Friday, and I guess I don't. I all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, do I post this? Because I'm getting emotional, but I'm going to. I promised myself. My best friend from elementary school, middle school, her name is Mandy. I had two best friends in my life. They're both named Mandy. One was with a Y, one was with an I. But anyway, she drove up. She lived way in southern Minnesota too, and she drove up, and she spent the night with me. And I won't get into. There's other things that kind of went on, but I wound up because of course I still desperately wanted to be married to my husband. Right, I was going through my addiction. I tried so many things, and I still wanted to be married to my husband. And that night something was just off, so I actually went to his house, but where I lived prior to treatment and moving out. Something's just not right. But anyway, it turns out he wasn't home. But he got home and we had this discussion in the driveway. It's January. And Minnesota's cold, but it was just like this cold, rainy night. It was like the scene out of a movie. And we had a long talk. What seemed like forever. I had to pause the video. So, things were just weird. My husband and I talked, and the next day, or was it Saturday or was it Sunday? I can't remember. Anyway, it was on a Saturday, and I was like, I kept asking him to, I'm like, we had the most wonderful church, okay? And the pastor who was at the church, he's actually the one who married us, and it was a beautiful wedding, and I can't wait to share more about that. I'm gonna figure out how to share pictures, and just because I have such a wonderful story with my husband, and we're so good right now today, stronger than ever. So Sunday, and he's like, basically he told me Saturday, or he's like I'm not going to church. He was basically saying like, look, we're gonna still fucking get divorced and like all the things. So I'm heartbroken. My best friend's there, so my best friend and I go to church, and I pull in the parking lot, and I see his car, and I'm like, holy fuck, what the fuck? Like, A, I thought he was not fucking coming. B, I did not expect to see him. C, how did he beat us here? Like, I feel like I just had text out. I lived very close to the church, and he was a little farther away at the house. And anyway, so I get, and I see, and then I have hope. My heart is filled with hope. And I'm like, because I've been talking to God, praying to God, all the things, right? And there's his vehicle, and I'm like, holy shit, right? I get in with my friend Mandy, and I just decide that I'm gonna be okay. I was like filled with like the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, confidence. And I'm like, I'm gonna be okay regardless. I'm just gonna find church, because I went to church a couple times to treatment, and I just sang and danced, and it's non-denominational or whatever, and I had a good time. And I remember, and Mandy was to my left and my husband was to my right, and like there was just something different. And at the end of church, because he kept looking at me a certain way, and at the end of church, he turns to me and he's like, what are you doing after church? I need to come over, all the things. And I was like, dang, like you just seem he seemed in a rush, right? Like he's like, and I thought he had divorce papers and he was just going to be bringing that. I thought that's what he was in a rush to do, just to get it fucking over with. So I talked to my friend Mandy, and we went back to the apartment. I said, I'm just going to go inside real quick because Aaron wants to talk. Aaron got in, and I remember we just walked into the front door, and we're just right, like that's where the kitchen is. I shut the door, and like this man just starts sobbing. And I was like, I'd never seen anyone sob like this before. And I started crying. I'm like, what? And he told me, he said, I love you. I don't want to get a divorce. I don't want to go anywhere. I just want you to get better. And I still have all the feels for that. And I always will. And from that moment forward, I knew it was going to be, that we were meant to be together, and I knew I was never going to drink again. And I made a vow to get better however I could. And that's how I got sober. Because I was just like, dang, I can't. There's so many reasons, right? I can't go back to what I was. Treatment was good. I was good. I was determined. I'm like, I'm here for big fucking things. I have gifts. I'd gotten into Reiki. I'd gotten into my healing. I was starting to figure out how big of an empath I was. Big, big things. And miracle after miracle just kept happening. And I kept manifesting and manifesting and manifesting. And I don't know if you've ever rented an apartment, you know how hard it is to get out of a lease. But my person said if I found someone to rent my apartment, then I would be off the hook. And mind you, it was a brand new apartment building. There was empty apartments, nicer ones up top. I happened to take some pictures of my apartment, which I said was really, really nice looking. I did a great job. And I put it on Facebook Marketplace, and some dude reached out to me, and I thought it was a joke. I was like, this is a joke. He's like, no, I really want your apartment. He's like, I want first level, I want this, I want that. And like, and then the guy was good looking, and he was actually like hitting on me and all these things. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on? This is just going to be, like, don't get your hopes up. But everything worked out perfectly. He rented my apartment because that day that my husband was in my kitchen crying, he asked me to come back home. So the guy got my apartment. We packed up. I went back home. And there's so many things that has happened since then. I mean, how I got down to South Carolina, how I got my mom here. I started working for a different company and making six figures and got my life together and cracked open my business and I have my health and all the things, right? And the reason that I have to share this with you is because I want you to know that it's cool to share your story and it's okay to share your story. And I want you to know that big things can happen in your life. And I want you to know if you're struggling with addiction of any kind or anything, any struggle, it can change if you make the choice for it to change. And I'm here if you want to connect with me. I would love for you to like my video, subscribe to my channel. I have links to my Facebook profile and my Facebook business page. Like I said, I'm just getting myself out there. I'm just starting to share my story. I'm just starting to really make the effort on my end to make new connections and to just help people however I can help them, whether it's through sharing a story, just so you can relate. Maybe it's opening up space for you to share your story or for you to heal or for you to try and go get some help if you need help, all of the things. So I think I'm going to end it there, and I can't wait to share more in the future.